I think artists are some of the most vulnerable people, and I mean that in a positive way.
True, true.
We are such perfectionists, right? We want the work to represent our best.
Hello, Harshita. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm good. How about you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. Tell me about your early childhood and your musical initiation.
Sure. I am a performing and recording artist and a music educator.
Mm.
I'm also a college administrator. I work at Berklee College of Music, which is where I got my bachelor's of music. I studied a combination of writing and performance. I have quite a bit of experience with performance and writing,
Mm.
but as a part of my job at Berklee, I've also been involved in programming for learning assistants and working with students with a variety of learning needs, both students who are considered learning able as well as students with special educational needs.
Mm.
And I've been in that position for about 3.5 years now.
That's wonderful to know.
I actually started music around the age of 4. It was very much by accident. My parents are not musicians, but in my family, we do have a general practice of everybody learns music for at least 3 to 5 years at some point in their lives. It's very important in my family and the culture that we have.
Oh, okay.
Growing up in Nigeria, I didn't actually have any access to Carnatic music. So I think my parents didn't really think about my music training or anything like that. I think if we were in India, in Madras, where the rest of my family is, I think that would have been an automatic consideration for them that I should be joined in music classes.
That is very common in South India.
Since we didn't have access to that, I don't think it occurred to them at that point. But I started going to school when I was about 4, and pretty quickly there was a music competition at my school. I was not participating, but I was in the audience, and I was sitting somewhere in the middle of the auditorium where some of the judges were sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to know, because my mom, she used to play veena when she was younger.
Oh, that's nice.
And so whatever she knew, she used to teach my brother. My brother is 6 years older than I am.
Mm.
And I just kind of learned, basic varnams or kirtanais or geetams
Right.
just by peripherally. She never sat me down and taught me. It was just like what I heard. When this competition was happening, I happened to know all of the songs that these kids were singing. I didn't know, what the competition decorum is. They don't tell you that when people are singing on stage, you shouldn't be singing in the audience.
Right.
Me, very unabashedly and unreservedly, I was singing along from the audience.
Mm.
And this judge was sitting nearby, and she noticed me, and she was very intrigued.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, she saw me. At the end of the school day, she saw me walking around or whatever. I was waiting for my mom. My mom was also working at the school that I went to. She asked to speak to my mom and told her, "Hey, your daughter can really sing. You should teach her music."
Right.
So it was very much on accident, but pretty much after that, the entire Indian community in Lagos kind of rallied behind me, giving me opportunities to sing.
Oh, that's really good.
I started taking lessons in Western classical music when I was 6.
Okay.
And I started competing in national competitions at the conservatory there,
Mm.
and also taking classical music exams.
That's very good.
So I've completed my 8th grade with distinction in Western classical music with a specialization in opera, Baroque period opera.
Okay.
And but I also, took a few summers of Carnatic lessons when I would come to Madras.
Okay.
My mom would just, put me in like a 2 weeks course with some party teacher, and I would just learn some of my, family favorite kirtanais and a few basic varnams.
Right.
So I didn't have necessarily the conditioning
Mm.
of like, doing all the Sarali Varsai and Janta Varsai and all of that stuff. But my family is really into Carnatic music, so it's always been a part of my life.
Oh, that's nice.
I moved to India when I was when I was 18 to go to college. My mother, she wanted me to experience life in India
Mm-hmm.
and sort of, get spend some time with family because, they'd always been at a distance.
I'm sure they would have loved to have you with them as much as you did.
I lived with my grandparents while I went to college here, and got much more into Indian music and learning a lot of like film songs. I got more into the contemporary music scene in Madras.
Right.
But wanted a more formal education. So
Hmm.
that's when I applied to Berkeley, and I went there in 2013.
Sure.
So I graduated in 2017 and got hired by the college. I was a student tutor.
Hmm.
So I used to tutor students one-on-one on music theory courses.
Okay.
And when I graduated, my boss in that department offered me a job as a staff.
Oh, that's really good.
So he asked me to help him run the department, which was really, it was an honor. It still is. Now I started out as a coordinator, and now I'm an assistant director.
That's wonderful.
Very grateful for all of these opportunities. It has always felt like the universe has conspired for me to be pursuing a life in music.
Oh, that's really good. As a musician, how do you use your music?
I have always strived to only perform the music of musicians whose social message I really identify with.
Mm-hmm.
And I also only write about music that either explores emotions that are not usually very well explored in popular music.
Sure.
I have a thing where in every one of my performances, I'm always conscious of the song selections and stuff like that. So about 80% of every show that I do is by musicians of color.
Right.
Because I'm, a huge advocate for Black Lives Matter and awareness around, the acceptance of immigrants and anti-racism. So it's a very important cause to me. And in mental health, aside from doing a lot of volunteer work and mentoring of students and young adults, I also, like I said, in my compositions and other things, I always strive to perform music that is exploring emotions that are not usually explored.
That's very good.
So one of the popular songs that a lot of people who come to my shows always request is a song that I wrote about, having complicated feelings in friendship.
Right.
And, how that can affect your mental health and how that can affect the way you sort of like the retreat of a support system when something in your relationship with your friends changes and stuff like that.
That's fantastic.
And also, I have a mom who works in education, and we are both extremely empathetic towards students' mindset and what creates a successful environment for students to thrive emotionally. Because if they're thriving emotionally, then they thrive academically.
True.
Most of the time, their challenges in education are not with the content or the academics. It's really around the environment. What is their home environment, right? What is their, are they getting enough sleep? Are they getting enough food? Is that something that is always a worry for them? Do they have anxiety? Are they somebody who's prone to depression? Are they spending enough time outside? So these are all things that we constantly talk about. And I've even, written music about my relationship with my mom because, we all have, slightly complicated relationships with our parents and all of that stuff. But I got enough acceptance from her that I was able to articulate my feelings through music.
Right.
And, share some of that with people who, again, they listened to the song and they were really, they really identified with it. And they, said that, wow, nobody's ever actually sort of communicated this kind of emotion with me before.
Fantastic. Well, that's really good.
Even if you're a non-musician, the reason people connect so much with music is because it gives them space.
Very true.
To feel without having to actually be the one articulating themselves. You can sort of channel yourself through what you're hearing.
That's so true. Tell me something about your work at Berklee College of Music.
Yeah, I run the department of student tutors.
Right.
So the students are the ones who tutor other students. And so again, my staff, they're wonderful, they're extremely talented, but they're also full-time students. And so a big part of my job is taking care of them and their emotional well-being and managing their expectations.
Right.
Because as sort of supplementary educators, as tutors, a lot of the times if their students are not succeeding or if they're not really getting through to their students, they take it really personally because they're putting so much of themselves in it.
True.
So it also affects their mental health. And so I serve as a counselor for them.
That's very good.
So a lot of my day is really spent in the realm of counseling, social well-being, mental health, and how to help people work through some of the challenges that they're going through every day to be more successful and to have more sort of long-term grit and persistence.
Absolutely.
Because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right?
Certainly.
And I also feel that artists, all of my staff and all of our students, because Berklee is a music school, we're all musicians. And so I'm very, very much in touch with what the emotional toll being a full-time musician and pursuing a career in music and artistry.
True.
How those struggles manifest and how to work through some of them. I can't say that I have been successful in working through all of my challenges as a musician, but with the support of community, it makes everything so much easier, right?
So true.
When we know that there's someone else who's also going through what we're going through, we don't feel so alone, and we can sort of talk to each other about how to work through it.
Absolutely.
So as a community, I feel, we are responsible for caring for each other and for being there for one another and for advocating for better support for us.
Amazing. That must be very challenging and equally very responsible, I suppose.
Absolutely. In the moments where I have been at my sort of the apparent, it's appeared to people that I'm doing really well. Some of those moments are the times when I have been feeling my worst emotionally. Because there's so much pressure, there's so much expectation. You crumble under all of this expectation and the anxious thoughts. Family support is really important, but a lot of us don't have that because our parents don't necessarily feel like this is a sustainable career option for us. And so they think that by not supporting us, they're doing us a favor and that will change our minds about pursuing the arts.
True.
But really, when you decide, that's when you need your family the most. That's when you need your friends the most. And that's the thing, I do a lot of work around courage and vulnerability and how important it is. And, I think artists are some of the most vulnerable people. And I mean that in a positive way.
True.
We're actually sort of taking a leap of faith every time we share something.
So true.
Because we're putting sort of like a piece of ourselves out for people to scrutinize, to judge. It's extremely, if you're putting yourself out there, I follow this psychologist named Brené Brown, and she talks about daring greatly.
Right.
Leading with vulnerability. And, it's such a natural thing for us to do as musicians because we are in the business of expressing ourselves.
That's so well said. Very true. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Harshita. I wish you all the very best and many success in the years to come.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye.
All right.